Bongino, of course, a former U.S. Secret Service agent, NYPD officer, now a Fox News contributor and host of the Dan Bongino Show. Dan, thanks for coming in tonight.
Good to see you, Ed.
As you hear about this threat throughout Europe and you hear what happened in London as the president's getting ready to go there, what goes through your head tonight?
Well, it appears to be, Ed, that this seems to be an act of desperation based on these terrorist organizations that have been losing clout. Listen, these terror organizations need two things, essentially. It's not rocket science. They need people, they need bodies, and they need money to finance their operations. Listen, for a long time now, ISIS has been losing clout. They've been losing landmass, control of land. And in order to propagandize and project the strength you need to bring new people in, you have to engage in attacks. It's a sick, disgusting business, but that's the business these savages are in. Now, when you're losing your landmass and losing your power in an act of what I believe, again, is desperation, is you have to engage in these low logistics level load attacks. There's not a lot of logistics involved. Sadly, they're not particularly difficult to pull off. You just need someone deranged enough to do it, and that's what we've seen in The Hague and London.
Dan, it's also an interesting contrast that you had the President of the United States go to see the troops in Afghanistan, U.S. troops still on the ground fighting essentially the war on terror. And you had this reporter at Newsweek putting out this report. She didn't realize that he was headed to Afghanistan, apparently, and put out this tweet suggesting that the president spending his entire time in Palm Beach tweeting, playing golf, and all the rest. That obviously had to be deleted, taken down. The president had a little fun with it, said, I thought Newsweek was out of business. What do you think about some in the media who, no matter what, will go after this president, even if he's doing his job?
You know, Ed, the sad part of this is you've been in this business a long time. During my prior line of work in the Secret Service, when you follow this stuff like you and I both have, it's obvious that around the holiday seasons, Christmas and Thanksgiving, we're not given any trade secrets, or you just Google it. The President of the United States, whether it was Barack Obama, George Bush, or Donald Trump, at times will go into a war zone, thankfully, to visit our great soldiers. Now, if you're a media person who's in the business, you would think you would refrain from attacking the president before you were actually sure about what the facts about what he was doing are. I mean, you have one job in the media. If you're a journalist, I'm not a journalist, I'm an opinion commentator, but your job is to get the facts right. How do you know the facts? The holiday hadn't even ended yet. So it's just a silly story, and it speaks to, I think, what you said. There's zeal to get ahead and project Trump in a negative light when you don't have a full grasp of the fact pattern.
Right. Okay, let's get back to the terror threat, though. On the other hand, this president faced a lot of heat just about a month ago when he talked about pulling all U.S. troops out of Syria. He kind of slowed that down. But here's a quick sampling of what we heard from the left and the right about that, and I want you to react. Watch.
He greenlit Turkey's invasion of northern Syria, putting our national security at risk, leading to a resurgence of ISIS.
The president keeps saying we've won this war against ISIS. We certainly have not won the war against ISIS.
It's not about me wanting to stay in Syria forever. It's about me wanting to make sure that ISIS does not reemerge.
And the president said this, which is just astonishing, that ISIS really represents a threat to Europe, not us. I think you hope he's right, but I don't think so.
Dan, the president scored a major victory when he was able to take out the biggest ISIS terrorist of all in al-Baghdadi. But what about Democrats and Republicans saying, look, in recent weeks, this threat is still out there?
You know, Ed, it is out there, but we have to be realistic about what's happened here. We haven't had any, thankfully, in the past few months, domestic attacks on our U.S. soil. And this attack was in London by what obviously was a guy who had a history with this, who was on their radar before. I mean, I'm sorry, but the president ran on this. He doesn't want to be the world's policeman. And the rest of the world, there's a responsibility there, too. He did slow down his pull out of Syria. Listen to some folks on the other side of the argument. And I personally agree, for asking my opinion with this strategy, that's harden up the homeland and not extend, an empire all over the world and weaken our forces by doing so.
No doubt about it. The president has talked about how they had a landmass ISIS when he took office about the state of Ohio. They are still around, but they have nowhere near the state of Ohio in terms of landmass, and they've lost their top guy in recent weeks. Dan Bongino, we appreciate you coming in.
Good to see you, Ed.